In the movies, when killers want to scare each other, they whisper one name, Baba Yaga, the Boogeyman, John Wick's nickname. But here's what Hollywood never tells you. The real Baba Yaga is older, stranger, and far more terrifying than any hitman. She doesn't kill for money. She kills because you knocked on the wrong door, or she hands you the power to save your life. Depending entirely on her mood, she lives in a house that walks on chicken legs. Her fence is built from human bone, and the skulls on top still glow. And in 1,000 years of folklore, no one has ever agreed on one simple question. Is she a monster, or the most important guardian in the whole forest? Stay with me, because by the end, you'll know who she really is, and why, once you've met her, you never come back the same. So let's start simple. Except with Baba Yaga, nothing is simple. Even her name is an argument. Baba is the easy half. In Old Slavic, it means an old woman, a grandmother. But the kind you'd whisper about, not hug. Yaga is where the scholars start fighting. Some trace it to old words for horror, for serpent, for the witch who rides the night, others to a word for sickness. The chill that creeps into your bones in a dark wood. Take your pick. They all paint the same picture. She is the thing in the forest that the soft word grandmother was invented to cover up. And she does not live like anyone else. Deep in the forest. The real forest, the kind that swallows roads and travelers whole. There is a hut, but it doesn't sit on the ground. It stands on a pair of giant chicken legs, scaled and clawed, and it turns. By day, it sleeps with its back to you, no door in sight. The fence around it isn't wood. It's bone. Human bone. Topped with skulls whose eye sockets catch fire after dark, lighting the clearing like lanterns made from everyone who came before you. Every single detail of her home is a warning. And yet, here's the part that makes Baba Yaga unforgettable. People still go to her. On purpose. Because sometimes she is the only one in the world who has what you need. But before anyone reaches that door, get one thing straight. Almost everything you picture when you hear the word witch is wrong. Here's what she actually is. Forget the green skin and the broomstick. Baba Yaga is older and stranger than that. She's enormous. So big she can barely fit inside her own hut. The storytellers find her sprawled across the top of the stove, her gray hair loose, her long hooked nose pushed right up against the ceiling. And one detail they almost never leave out, her leg. One of her legs is bone. A bare, fleshless skeleton leg, which is why the oldest names for her call her the bony-legged one. She has one foot, in other words, already in the grave. And when she's angry, you hear her before you see her. Because her teeth are iron and they grind in the dark. Now picture how she travels, because this is the image that truly belongs to her. Western witches ride broomsticks. Baba Yaga does not. She climbs into a giant stone mortar, the heavy bowl you'd grind grain in, and she flies in it, low and fast between the trees, driving herself forward with the pestle like an oar. And the broom in her other hand isn't to ride. She drags it behind her, sweeping the air, erasing her own tracks so that nothing, and no one, can follow her home. Sit with what that means. She doesn't want to be found. The only people who ever reach her are the ones who already know the way, or the ones who were sent there to die. And the hut guards her too. We said it stands on chicken legs and turns. But there's no path to it. No handle, no door you can simply walk up to. To get inside, you have to know the words. You have to speak to the house itself. Little hut, little hut. Turn your back to the forest and your face to me. Only then does it groan around on its scaled legs and lower its door. It's a password, a test before the test. And if you don't know it, you just stand there in the dark, in a clearing ringed with burning skulls, waiting for whatever comes next. So, which is she? The villain or the guardian? Here's the answer the old stories give, and it's the whole reason she's lasted 1,000 years. She's both at the same time. And that's not a contradiction the storytellers forgot to fix. It's the entire point of her. Baba Yaga isn't good. She isn't evil. She's a force. Like the forest she lives in, like winter, like death. The forest doesn't hate you when it freezes you, and it doesn't love you when it feeds you. It just is, and it answers only to its own law. That's her. But a force you can't reason with would just be weather. What makes Baba Yaga terrifying and useful is that she tests. Everyone who stumbles to her door gets weighed. Are you polite, or do you make demands? Are you brave, or do you snivel? Are you honest? Are you clever enough to finish a task that can't be finished? She is watching all of it. Fail. Come greedy, come rude, come lying. And the bone fence gets one more skull, she'll eat you, and she's got the oven to do it in. But pass. Show courage, show respect, show wit. And the same old woman who would have cooked you turns around and hands you exactly what you came for. Fire. An answer. A horse that outruns the wind. So here's the real question. And it's not the one you walked in with. It was never, will Baba Yaga help me or hurt me? It's, can I survive being tested? Because with her, those are the same door. And there are two travelers in all of Slavic folklore whose stories answer that better than any other. The first is a girl everyone expected to die. Her name was Vasilisa, and before any of the magic, before the witch, her story begins the way too many old stories begin, with a dying mother. Vasilisa is just a little girl when her mother falls ill, and on her deathbed, the mother does a strange thing. She calls Vasilisa close and presses a small wooden doll into her hands. "Keep her with you always," she whispers. "Tell no one. And whenever you don't know what to do, give the doll a little to eat and drink and ask her. She will help you." And then she's gone. And Vasilisa is left alone with a doll and a promise. Remember that doll. It's the only reason this story doesn't end the way every single person in it is about to assume it will, with a girl dead and cold in the forest. You know what comes next because you've heard 100 versions of it. The father remarries. The stepmother arrives with 2 daughters of her own, and all 3 of them despise Vasilisa. For her gentleness, for her beauty, for the way work seems to bless her hands. They bury her in chores, trying to wear the prettiness right off her face. It never works. And here's the secret they never uncover. Every night, in the dark, Vasilisa feeds her little doll a few crumbs and whispers her troubles. And while she sleeps, the doll does the impossible work. The garden weeded. The wool spun. The girl wakes rested and lovely, and the stepmother seethes. Then one night, they decide to be rid of her for good. Every fire in the house goes out. On purpose. No light. No way to cook. No way to stay warm. And the stepmother turns to Vasilisa with a smile that isn't a smile and says there's only one place left to get fire, deep in the forest. From Baba Yaga. Go. Everyone in that house knows what they're really saying. Nobody comes back from Baba Yaga. They aren't sending her for fire. They're sending her to die. So Vasilisa walks into the night forest. The real one, the kind that swallows roads. And as she walks, terrified, she sees them. A horseman all in white on a white horse. And as he passes, dawn breaks over the trees. Later, a rider all in red on a blood-red horse, and the sun climbs. And just as she reaches the hut, a third rider, all in black on a black horse, and night slams down over the world. 3 riders. Remember them. They're going to tell you what she really is. And then she's there. The fence of bone. The skulls with the burning eyes. The hut on its chicken legs turning to face her. And Baba Yaga herself comes flying home in her great mortar, and she smells it. the living thing standing at her gate, and she grins. She doesn't eat the girl. Not yet. Instead, she says, "You want fire? Then you'll earn it." And she sets Vasilisa tasks no human could finish in a single night. Sort a mountain of grain, every good seed from every rotten one, by dawn, clean an impossible house. Do it, or I eat you. And every night, Vasilisa feeds her doll and weeps and asks. And every morning, the impossible is done. That's the part that unsettles even Baba Yaga. She watches this girl pass every test, finish every unfinishable task, and never once lie or complain. And finally, she demands to know how. And Vasilisa, careful, answers only, "By the blessing of my mother." A blessing. And Baba Yaga, who feeds on the cursed and the cruel, does not want a blessing under her roof. So she throws Vasilisa out, but not empty-handed. She gives her exactly what she came for, fire. A skull from the fence, eyes burning, set on a stick. "Take it," she says, "go." Vasilisa carries that skull home through the dark. And here is the ending you weren't ready for. She walks back into the house that sent her to die. And the skull's burning gaze turns on the stepmother and the two stepsisters, and it does not look away. It burns them to ash. By morning, there's nothing left of them but soot on the floor, and Vasilisa standing free in the quiet. Now sit with what Baba Yaga actually did. She didn't rescue Vasilisa. She didn't fight the girl's battle for her. She handed a tested, worthy soul the one thing she needed, and let justice do the rest. That isn't a monster. It isn't a hero either. But before we name what she is, you need the other story, because it shows you a completely different side of her. Not the tester of frightened girls, the keeper of the deadliest magic in the world. If Vasilisa shows you Baba Yaga at her gentlest, this next story shows you what she guards when the stakes are life and death itself. And it begins with a door a man was told never to open. His name is Ivan, and he marries a warrior queen, Marya Morevna, a woman who rode to war and won. One day, Marya rides off to battle, and she tells Ivan just one thing: walk anywhere in this palace, open any door you like, except the one at the end of the hall. Never that one. You already know, he opens it. And chained inside is a withered old man. Barely alive, he begs Ivan for water. Ivan, pitying him, brings a cup, then a second, then a third. And with that third drink, the chains burst off him. His strength comes roaring back, and the old man laughs, because the old man is Koschei. Koschei the Deathless. He tears up through the roof and is gone. And he takes Marya Morevna with him. So Ivan goes after his wife. And he's brave, and he keeps stealing her back. But Koschei rides a horse that is not of this world, a horse that warns its master every time, and each time Koschei runs them down. The third time, he doesn't just take Marya back. He kills Ivan Bon, hacks him to pieces, seals them in a barrel, and throws it into the sea. And that should be the end. But Ivan has 3 sisters, and each of them married a sorcerer who can turn into a bird of prey. A falcon, an eagle, a raven. They find the barrel, draw out the pieces, and sprinkle them first with the water of death, which knits the body whole, and then the water of life, which opens his eyes. Ivan breathes again. And now he finally understands the one truth that matters. You cannot outfight a deathless man. You can only outrun him. He needs a horse as fast as Koschei's. And there is exactly one place in the world that breeds such horses. Baba Yaga's. She keeps a herd of enchanted mares beyond a river of living fire. And the price of a single foal is 3 days of work. Herd her mares from dawn to dusk. Lose even one, and your head goes on the last empty spike of her fence. Each day, the mares scatter to the ends of the earth. And each day, Ivan is saved by a creature whose life he once spared. One day, a great bird, the next, a lioness, the last, a single bee, driving the herd back to him before dark. And on that last night, the bee whispers in his ear, "When you slip away, don't take a proud stallion. Take the mangy, scabby foal asleep in the corner, the one that looks like nothing at all." Ivan steals it and runs before dawn. And when Baba Yaga wakes and finds him gone, with one of her horses, she comes screaming after him in her mortar, all iron teeth and fury, down to the bank of the river of fire. But Ivan has one last trick, Koschei's own magic handkerchief. He waves it, and a bridge arcs up over the flames. He crosses, waves it again, and the bridge shrinks to nothing beneath her. Baba Yaga pitches into the river of fire, and not even she climbs back out of that. And the scabby little nothing of a foal grows into the one horse on earth that can finally run down the Deathless. So, hold the two stories up side by side. To Vasilisa, Baba Yaga was a cruel test that ended in a gift. To Ivan, she was the gatekeeper of the only power that could undo death itself. Deadly, monstrous, and yet the very reason he survived. Same witch, opposite faces. And that is the puzzle the cleverest readers of these tales spent 100 years trying to crack. For a long time, people read these stories and saw only the witch, the obstacle, the scary part. But in the 20th century, folklorists started laying hundreds of these tales side by side, and they noticed Baba Yaga keeps playing the exact same role. The Russian scholar Vladimir Prop gave it a name: she's the donor. The figure waiting at the threshold who tests the hero and, if they pass, gives them the gift, the horse, the knowledge they need to go on. She isn't the villain of the story. She's the gate. And watch what she actually does when a hero arrives. Because it's stranger than a simple threat. In tale after tale, she doesn't attack. She feeds them. She heats the bathhouse, washes them, lays them down to sleep, and only then asks their business. To us, that sounds like hospitality. But in the old world, that is precisely what you do for the dead. You wash the body, you feed it, you lay it to rest. The hero who lets Baba Yaga treat them like one of the dead and keeps their nerve through it is the hero who passes. Because look at where her hut stands, always deep in the forest. And in old Slavic belief, the deep forest isn't just woods. It's the edge of the other world, the land of the dead. Her hut, up on its restless legs, back turned to the living and door facing the beyond, sits right on the border between the two. 1 foot in our world, 1 foot in the next. That's why she can smell the living the instant they arrive. Because where she lives, the living aren't supposed to be. And that password at the door, "Turn your back to the forest, your face to me," isn't a quaint rhyme. It's the spell that swings the gate of the dead open. So when a hero crosses her threshold, they aren't just visiting a witch. They're stepping into death and stepping back out. And here's the promise from the very start of this video, finally coming due. You do not walk away from Baba Yaga as the same person who walked in. You go to her as a child, untested, unproven. And if you survive her, you come back as something more. An adult, initiated, changed. She is the door you pass through to grow up. And nobody passes through that door for free. There's an older layer underneath all of this too. Older than the fairy tales. Look again at what she controls. Those 3 riders Vasilisa met on the road. White for dawn, red for the sun, black for night. Baba Yaga calls them my day, my sun, and my night, her servants. Which means this old woman in the woods has her hands on day and night themselves. That's not a witch. That's something closer to a goddess. And in fact, that's exactly what some scholars suspect she once was. Long before the fairy tales, the theory goes, Baba Yaga may be the worn-down remnant of an old Slavic goddess, demoted over centuries from deity to bogeywoman as new beliefs moved in. Notice how often the hero finds her spinning, or weaving, or sitting at a loom. In the old world, the woman who spins the thread is the one who spins the thread of your life. The goddess of fate. Some link her to Koschei, the Slavic spinner, and Earth Mother, the damp ground itself. It can't be proven, the records are too thin. But it would explain why a mere witch commands the sun, and she wears what later writers love to call the crone's face. The third figure in a pattern they map onto old myth, the maiden, the mother, and the crone. Whether or not the ancient Slavs ever divided the world that neatly, the shoe fits her unsettlingly well. Because the crone is the one nobody wants to look at. Old age. The wild. The end of things. The end of things. But the crone isn't only death. Look at her fence again. Bone? Look at her forest, where the dead leaves rot down and feed next spring's green. In nature, death isn't the opposite of life. It's what life grows out of. And that is Baba Yaga. She's Mother Nature with the pretty mask pulled off. The part that gives and the part that takes, refusing to pretend they were ever two different things. But if she really was a goddess once, here's the problem. Which one, and how many? Because the stories can't even agree on whether there's only one of her. In some of the oldest tales, a hero doesn't meet a single witch. He meets three. Three sisters, all bearing the same name, living in 3 huts set deeper and deeper into the forest, each more powerful than the last, each sending him on to the next. And that's the truth of her. She was never set down by a single author. Across the Slavic world, Russian, Polish, Czech, Ukrainian, and beyond. She appears under shifting names and shapes, breathed out by dozens of cultures over centuries, each one adding to her. So even the question, who is Baba Yaga, has no single answer. She's a whole family of fears wearing one name. And maybe that's the most honest thing about her. A figure this old was never going to hold still long enough to be just one thing. Which brings us right back to where we started, to the movies. Because Baba Yaga never actually went away. You've met her, even if you never knew her name. When the assassins in John Wick whisper that the man hunting them is the Boogeyman, the word the story reaches for in Russian is Baba Yaga. She surfaces in Hellboy, in The Witcher, in 100 games and novels and films. Every single time a writer needs a witch in the woods who might help you or might kill you. So why this one? Out of every monster in every folklore on Earth, why is she the one who refuses to die? Here's the answer. And it's the same thread we followed this whole way. Most monsters are only a threat. You run, you fight, you win, or you lose. Baba Yaga is a threat that might also be the wisest help you ever get. She's a villain who is also a teacher. And that not knowing, walking up to that door, unsure whether you'll be fed or eaten, feels true. It feels like the actual world, where the things that can destroy you and the things that can save you are so often the very same things. A monster you can forget. A truth you carry. So, is she a monster or a guardian? By now, you already know. She's both because she's the forest, and the forest is both. She's the test you have to pass to become who you're going to be. And the price of passing is that you don't come back the same. You don't defeat Baba Yaga. Nobody defeats her. You earn your way past her, and you walk out changed, carrying a fire you didn't have when you walked in. That's why, 1,000 years on, we still whisper her name. And remember that withered old man Baba Yaga's horses helped bring down. The one chained behind the forbidden door? The man who could not be killed? He hid his death itself inside a needle, inside an egg, inside a duck, inside a hare. locked in a chest at the top of an impossible tree, all so that nothing in the world could ever touch it. That's Koschei the Deathless, and his is the next story we're telling. This is the channel for it. I'll see you in the forest.